you are on Book Talk, and at Book Talk, as always, we get to have an author come and tell us about his book or her book. And today we have a guest with us who is known as Vito Altavilla. I hope I got that right.
Altavilla. You're close. Just say Vito.
Welcome to the show, Vito.
My pleasure.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes, and where are we connecting you from?
This is fun.
Yeah, where are you based right now?
I'm based right now. I'm in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I lived here like the last 20 years. Before that, it was 3 years in Florida, and prior to that, it was out of Montreal. Most of my career was out of Montreal.
Oh, okay, beautiful. And today we are going to hear about the book that you've written. And
Okay.
Is it the only book that you've written, by the way?
Oh yeah, the book is done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that you've been here and done that. Can you please tell us what you do or what you had been doing before you came to write the book?
Okay.
Yeah.
I started up a long time ago, and my profession is an industrial research chemist.
Okay.
And I develop different products and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And if somebody Googled my name, for patents, they would see that I have a lot of patents, national and international and so forth. But that's the past, you see.
Okay.
And what happened is things get a little boring. I do some consulting work, but as a rule, generally, wasn't doing that much. So over the last, I guess about 2 years ago, somebody said I'd get together with the guys from church on a Friday morning. We'd have breakfast together. And we'd always told about different stories, and they were all sort of retired. And they said, "You've got more stories than anyone else. You ought to write a book." And that's the way this whole thing started. And I said, okay, yeah. I had never written a book before. They said, "You ought to write a book." I said, "Okay, I'll write a book." So 9 months later, I had a book.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, I started writing, and all of these memories start flooding back. I started remembering everything.
Okay.
I mean, literally everything.
Yeah. And if I'm curious to know, how old could you be right now?
You see, most people think I'm younger than I am, but I'm old. No, I'm 82. I'll be 83 next month.
93?
83.
83. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know, that's old, eh?
So can I say that life begins at 80?
Hell no.
I mean, at 83, you're telling us this is the time that you've written your first book, and many people have not achieved that.
No, to me, life never stopped. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I believe in quid pro quo. If I don't acknowledge my age doesn't acknowledge me.
Okay, and that's beautiful. Okay. You don't acknowledge your age, and your age doesn't acknowledge you. Yeah. I can see that. We can all tell that.
it's just an attitude, you know.
Yeah.
I get to the gym 3 times a week. I don't like, you see these commercials where little old ladies and little old men go, you know, they got a little yo-yo and they go, no, I do heavy weights and stuff like that. I've done that stuff on and off all my life. So it's nothing new.
So could that be the secret, or there's still something more?
I can guess I can still bench press my weight, which is like 210.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, but I do the cardio and then I do the weights and so forth. And it's like anything else in life. If you don't, you know, people are sedentary, they just sit and look at television. If they don't think and so forth, they lose things. Okay. If you don't use whatever you've been born with, you're going to lose it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That comes to thinking, physical ability, everything. Okay. It all goes together. It goes to making love, everything. It all goes together. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Whatever you don't use, then you lose it.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's beautiful. I can tell that you have still a life ahead, and you're pushing on, and having written your first book, there are so many other books along the way, I guess.
You know, the thing is, my stories are all true.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself so much a writer, okay, as a chronicler of times. I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
1948. Okay.
1948. Okay.
1948. That's the time when boys, I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Boys had short hair, long pants. That's what you wore, and a white shirt and a blue tie, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Girls had longer hair, dresses, and dresses and so forth. Okay.
Okay.
We thought at that age, at 8 years old, we thought That was the only difference between boys and girls. We didn't know there was anything more than that until my mother brought me to visit a friend of hers, and she was town. She knocked on the door. It was only 4 blocks. So you walked to places in those days. Nobody drove. We didn't have a car anyway.
Okay.
So knocked on the door. The door opened up. Her friend said, "Come on in." And she was just finishing toweling off her daughter after a bath. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And as I came in before my mother, she dropped the towel, and I see this girl for the first time. I see a girl, and I said, I got really scared. I said, "Mom, she's missing a part. Part of her is missing. How is she going to pee? There's nothing there." And my mother said, "I'll explain it to you when we get home." I said, okay, well, yeah, but how?" She's, "No more questions. Let's have a good time for today." And I was in shock. I mean, I said, who knew? Nobody, you never, the word sex was never mentioned in those days, not for children,
Okay.
not with children. No, it was just never said. I mean, you're talking no computers, no cell phones, no internet, forget all of that stuff. As far as a phone is concerned, and this is in New York, Brooklyn, New York, okay? You had a party line. You know what a party line is?
No.
3 families would have one phone line.
Okay.
And if you picked it up and you heard a dial tone, you could dial. And if you picked it up and you heard somebody's voices, well, if you were a kid, you listened.
Okay.
Because that was entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what you had. Okay. So finally, we get home and I tell my mother, I said, "Well, what happened? What is it?" She says, "Okay, if you don't have a penis," she says, "it's called girls will have a vagina." I said, "Well, what's a vagina? How is it? What is it? How does it work? I mean, but I didn't see anything." She said, "That's what you got to know. You'll learn more when you get older." I talk to them. I go outside for my friends. I said, "Hey guys, you never guess what I found out today." And I tell them what happened. He says, my friend Matty says, "That's not possible. How can you pee if you don't have a pee-pee? It's not possible."
Yeah.
He says, "Well," I said, "Well, look, that's what my mom told me." She says, "I don't believe it. I'm going to go in and ask my mother if she knows what a vagina is." So he goes in and asks his mother. He goes out. He says, "My mother first knows. She want to know where I learned that word." And then she says, "You'll learn more when you get older." And that was the total explanation.
And you are 80.
We were much more innocent. Okay.
Yeah. 80 years old and innocent at that time.
Yeah.
And you are talking about Brooklyn. And for those who are watching the first time, the book that Vito has written is called "It Began in Brooklyn." Yeah. So we're going to hear some stories that began in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is I've got a website, which is, and the name of my website is beganinbrooklyn.com.
Yeah.
So that's easy to remember, you know.
Yeah,
you order the book, you know,
it began
online and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were things like that. People had a respect for each other. Yeah, one of the biggest insults you could call somebody was a liar. Yeah. If somebody considered you a liar, no one would ever talk to you again. You'd have to move almost out of town. That was a really, really big insult.
That was a serious one.
Yeah, because when people gave their word, they would have a handshake. You didn't even need a piece of paper. That was it. I mean, you know, that's as good. Today, they call things like a false narrative. Those are 2 words that mean liar. You know, right? False narrative. That's lying, you know, but they're so polite today.
Oh, okay. So how much more innocent was life back then? I mean,
oh my God. Yeah. We
like, compared to what we have today.
There's no comparison.
There's no
when you went on a date, okay?
Yeah.
But you know what a date was in those days? Today, when somebody says they're dating, they're sleeping together, okay?
Yeah.
Basically, okay? In those days, what a date meant was, since you didn't have a car, you got on a bus, you went to the girl's house, you knocked on the mother would usually answer to see that you were neat. Then she would tell the daughter she could go, and then you would go to the movies, okay?
Okay.
That's the only place you could go as a teenager, was the movies. And most teenagers always went up into the balcony because that's the only place where you can hug and kiss and make out. Okay. That was the only place you could do that. And then the movie was over. You stopped for a hot chocolate. You got on a bus. You took her home, and then you got on another bus and took you home. So, you know, a night like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, total of 5 bus fares, popcorn and soda, you might spend $5, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
And you think, geez, I spent a lot of money tonight, man.
But $5 was quite some money even back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a part-time job on Saturdays,
Okay.
and that was delivering groceries. Louis the Butcher. I had a bike with a small little wheel in the front and a great big basket in front, and you would deliver groceries. Okay. There was no Kroger's. There were no big stores. There was like an A&P store, which would be considered a very small store today. We
Okay.
didn't have, most people did their own little shopping and so forth.
Yeah.
And one of the things, one delivery I will never forget is Louis said, Fanny, that was one of his customers. This is a big load for Fanny. He said, look, she needs help putting the stuff away. You help her and so forth. I said, yeah, okay, fine. So it's like a few blocks away. I get there, I knock on the door, and Fanny's on the second floor window. And she says, yeah, who is it? I said, it's me, it's Sonny from Louis the Butcher. She said, oh, the door's open, come on in. So I go in, I start unloading it. I put all the bags on the counter. She comes down and she's wearing, and this is like a 70-year-old woman. She's wearing a house dress like with pink and red flowers all over it like this here. And it's got snaps that go from just above, just below the shoulder, all the way down to the bottom. But the snaps weren't working all the time. What happened? Fanny was a little slow too. Okay, she wasn't wearing anything underneath that, which you'll realize in a minute. She says, "Listen, you do the cans on the bottom because I have trouble bending down, and I'll do them. I got a little ladder here, and I'll put them up on the shelf." I said, "Okay." So Fanny does that. So she's standing on a ladder, and every time she bends down, all the snaps from here opened up. So she's totally naked from here to there. And what happened is, and I'm level with her crotch almost, boom, the dress opens up. I see nothing but a big bush of pubic hair. And then when she stands up, it closes. Open, boom, lots of hair, stands up, closes. I'm 16 years old. I had never seen anything like this. And I told Louis, I said, Louis, I know what Fanny looks like. I said, I saw her hair. What do you mean you saw her hair? I said, so I described to him what happened. He goes, well, that's the public. You got to get used. People in the public, there are a lot of different kinds of people out there. And that was the first time I had ever seen that. In high school, I don't know any of us. There was one kid that we know actually had sex in high school. One kid in my class. One, that was it. Okay. But we all did. We were all going to be safe. Every one of us had a condom in our wallet. And the only thing we got out of that was a circle imprinted into the leather. We had that from the freshman year until we graduated. And when we graduated, we just threw them out because nobody ever used it, except Benny. You want to hear the story about Benny?
I hope it doesn't get taught.
No. Benny had an older brother.
Yeah.
And most of the kids, like they have part-time jobs on the docks. They were tough-looking kids, okay? My kids look at my high school graduation picture, they say, Dad, everybody looks like they're 30 years old. You look like a kid. I said, they all had part-time jobs, working on the docks. This is, you took care of yourself in those days, okay? Well, anyway, Benny was at 16, Benny had a pencil-thin mustache. And we all thought, wow, that's pretty cool. He actually shaves, right? So Benny comes in one Sunday morning and says, I did it. We said, what'd you do? I had sex. We said, come on, who'd you have sex with? He says, my brother gave me, a friend of his gave him this name. He says, you got to have a password. So we said, so we're all there. There's 22 kids in the class. We said, okay, what's the password? He said, not now. I'll get to that later. We said, okay. What's the password, Ben? He says, I'll tell you later. He said, I got to get on a bus. I take one bus and then I took another bus, kind of a seedy area. We said, yeah. He said, yeah. He says, and I knock on this door and there's a nun that answered. We said, a nun. We said, oh, I'm sorry, so I must have the wrong address. She said, well, you have the password? So he said, I said the password. Said, no, she says, you're in the right address. Said she opens the door and now we're all leaning forward like this, listening to Benny, right? And she turns around. Now she's got a habit in the front, right? When she turns around, she's totally naked. We said, come on. He said, Vito, he says, they had crosses and crucifixes and candles. I mean, it looked like it was a small little church. But she had no clothes on in the back. he said, Vito, it was pretty exciting. He says, I don't know what I'm going to do with a hooker or a saint. And he says, and then he went into another room. He says, and that's where it all happened. He said, wow. So then we said, okay, well, what's the password? He said, I'll tell you guys the password. I want $1 a piece. We said, okay. So you, in other words, you went with a hooker and you want us to pay for it now. He said, yeah. That's the only experience that I heard of anyone ever having, actual sex in high school.
Okay.
It just didn't happen.
Now, it seems we have a lot of stories of that nature in the book, which all began in Brooklyn. Now, why did you choose the title, It Began in Brooklyn?
Because really, it all started there. And it was also the block that I lived on.
Mm-hmm.
When there would be an event or something special, it's a block party, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever was, usually on a weekend, whatever people were cooking up that weekend, they would just bring out sawhorses, they put tables outside, and everybody bring out whatever food they had. And everybody, and it didn't matter if you got drunk because you're only going to walk, four houses away. And it was a party.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was one big block party, though.
Okay.
That was because of Jimmy the fireman.
Mm-hmm.
This made the Daily News in New York.
Mm-hmm.
There was a jumper, okay? And Jimmy the fireman, about 6'2", very fit and so forth. He was always the first one up the ladder.
Yeah.
But this was a little high. This was the 5th to 6th floor, and I had a fire escape.
Mm-hmm.
The hook and ladder didn't go up that far, but Jimmy went up so far, and then he scaled on a wall and got onto the fire escape where the guy was. Okay.
Okay.
So they have pictures of Jimmy. I think it showed 48, 49. Anyway, it's in the Daily News in the history section. You could actually check it out.
Mm-hmm.
You can only see the back of Jimmy most of the time. Right.
Okay.
So Jimmy, you see Jimmy get on this fire escape or on the landing, and you see the guy there, and all of a sudden you see the guy sag, and he falls over Jimmy's shoulder.
Uh-huh.
So Jimmy has him on his shoulder. They take a harness from the roof and they lower Jimmy down.
Okay.
So they asked the press is asking Jimmy, what did you tell him? What did you tell him? He says, I told him, listen, a lot of people care about you. Really, a lot of people love you. You shouldn't do this and so forth. And he said, and with his remorse, he fainted. And they said, wow. So they waited till all the newspapers were away. He said, hey, Jimmy, what really happened? He says, I got 5 kids at home. As soon as I got close to that guy, I just hit him as hard as I could. He fell over my shoulder. That's it. Have another beer. That was a big block party.
Okay. Interesting.
I could talk forever. Things that you take for granted. My dad got a car in 49 or 50.
Yeah.
It was a 1939 Buick. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a shortage of cars after the war and so forth, but 1939 Buick. And it was like a tank, okay? 6 miles to the gallon, but gas was only 25 cents a gallon then. So
Mm-hmm.
it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're at his mom's house, and my father's mother, we always called Fat Mama.
Uh-huh.
We always called her Fat Mama.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's mother, we always called Nona. But
Mhm.
Fat Mama she was a good cook. Now, my grandfather, the way he met Fat Mama, okay?
Mhm.
They came over in the 1890s. It was work for everybody, okay? They were looking for work, all sorts of people.
Mhm.
And so he's working all the time. And he asked his brother, my grandfather was the last of 24 kids that were born.
Mhm.
And of the 24 kids, 23 were boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all boys. My kids are all boys. Everybody just has boys.
Okay.
Anyway, so he asked his brother, he says, I can't do anything about that. I said, how do you meet a girl? He says, I'm busy working all the time.
Mhm.
And so his brother said, I'll show you. He says, go down 3 blocks. There's the Catholic orphanage. He says, yeah. He says, you knock on the door. He says, a nun answers. He said, the nun opens the door. You say, look, I'm a good Catholic boy. I want to raise my kids in the Catholic religion. She's going to smile. She's going to take your hand. She's going to bring you into another room. And she's going to line up about 6 or 7 girls, those 16, 17 years old, that, he says, you smile at them all. The one that smiles back at you, you say, okay, that's the one I'm going to take. You take her by the hand. Before you leave, the priest marries you. There's your wife. that's how we met Fat Mama. So we don't know where Fat Mama came from. We
Yeah.
just know, yeah, that's Fat Mama.
Mhm.
So, so,
Interesting.
so, so we're having dinner over there one Sunday, and it looks like it's going to start to snow. My father gets nervous. He says, a little bit of snow in New York, everything stops. Okay.
Yeah.
He says, come on, kids, let's go. Let's go, Mom. Come on, hon. Anne is my mom's name. So everybody starts piling into the car, but it starts snowing. Normally it's a 35-minute drive to the house.
Okay.
We're stopped after 5 minutes on the highway.
Mhm.
After about 45 minutes, my mother said, Al, I have to go to the bathroom. He said, well, why didn't you go before? He says, I didn't have to go. I have to go now. He said, well, he says, he says, I'm in the middle lane. The only choice you got is either go outside up against the car or the ashtray. Now the ashtray in the third view is this is about the size of an ashtray, like that. Okay.
Mhm.
And my father smoked cigars and he used to keep a cigar butts in there. He says, okay, look, I'm going to roll down the window. I'm going to throw out my cigar butts. He said, but he says, you know, you gotta, this thing's got to be clean when you finish it. So here's my ashtray. Now my mother has a girdle and panties on. My brother Joe and I were in the back seat. There's no seat belts in those days.
Yeah.
So my mother's squirming around all over the place and so forth. And she finally, she says, okay, she says, Sonny, when I say, okay, I want you to roll down the window and I'm going to empty the ashtray. She's peeing in an ashtray, and a woman peeing in an ashtray, it's hard. You know? And then when I say, okay, again, you roll up the window. I said, okay, 7 times it took before she finished. And now it's not exactly neat. She's really mad.
Mhm.
So my brother, I told my dad after about an hour, I said, hey, Dad, I says, Joey and I, we have to pee. He says, why didn't you? He said, we did go, but we got to go now. He's okay. There's some pillows there. Adjust your height so that you can roll down the window and pee out the window. So my brother Joe and I, we peed out the window, man, out of a 1939 Buick. We thought it was pretty cool. We finally get home. My mother has the ashtray in the hand and she's holding it away from her. And my father's telling me, he says, when you get there, make sure you clean that ashtray out because that's where I keep my cigar butts. And she said something unintelligible, but she was pretty pissed. And that was a trip stuck in a snowstorm. Yeah, it just goes. It just people being people, and
Yeah.
just the crazy things that people wind up doing to survive and just laugh.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
people laughed a lot. We did laugh a lot.
Yeah, we can tell from the stories, and I guess we have so many other stories there that someone is gonna get to read once they buy the book. It began in
Oh
Brooklyn.
yeah, okay. I'll tell you one that I'm sure nobody else had this experience.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in those days when you finished high school, you had a choice. They had the draft in those days,
Okay.
which meant
Okay.
you either went into the service right away, or you could defer it and go to college first and then the draft. Okay.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
decided with my friends, we were going to go get the service out of our hair first.
Mhm.
So I, 17 years old, I'm in the Navy. So they put me in a construction outfit, which is the Seabees, which means I'm on a shift for 17 days only to go to a location and we build things and stuff like that. Right.
Okay.
Time comes where I'm going to get discharged. I get a cut for school. So because I took my college boards at the University of San Juan in Puerto Rico.
Mhm.
So I was accepted to RIT in Carnegie.
Mhm.
So I need a cut for school. So what they did in those days is they gave you a cut, but they would ship you to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is now I think closed. And it was huge. It's just gigantic. And you didn't sit around doing nothing. You either clean toilets or clean the floors, or they kept you busy. So
Okay.
they asked me, you have any medical experience? So I'm looking at the guys that have cleaning toilets and clean floors. I said, yeah, I got medical experience. I lied. Okay.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, well, he says they're shorthanded and prenatal. You know what prenatal is?
No.
Okay, prenatal is the pregnant women.
Okay. Oh,
My
prenatal. Oh,
job,
okay. I get
yeah,
that. It was from the accent. Prenatal.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
My job, I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning and they said, okay, kid, here's what you do. I'm 19 years old now. I finished with active duty, but I'm 19 years old. And I go to the hospital and they said, okay, you're going to have pregnant women coming in. He said, they're
Okay.
going to be all different sizes of pregnancy. I said, okay. So you tell them to go behind that sheet over there. They take their clothes off. They put on the gown, hospital gown, okay? And you have them sit in that chair. And they sit in the chair. They got them spread out where the legs are like this, okay? So the doctor can come in and check them, okay?
Yeah.
So from 3 months on, from 3 months to like 8.5 months, they get checked. The Navy doctor comes in. So my job was to prepare them. Tell them, okay, you go behind the counter, come out with the hospital gown on, please sit in that chair there. And I would adjust their feet into the stirrups where they were just flying apart. I saw 36 vaginas that week in different stages of pregnancy. I never saw that many before or since. And I was going, oh my God. And you know, some of them said, that one looks pretty good. Ooh, that was not so good. And that was an experience.
Oh, I wonder who has such an experience. As you say, nobody, some of the things that you've been through, nobody else has had them. Many of us have never gone through such experiences.
Oh, it was, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you laugh. You see, there's just so much out there. You know, you you see all sorts of things over a lifetime. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I did is I focused. You can get very depressed, but I focused on the humorous because there's a lot of humor with people.
And I guess too that is one of the secrets that you could give us of living through 8 decades and seeing it all through. It's taking everything with a light salt. A pinch of salt. Everything that you come across. Have you been, in your lifetime, have you been in hospital for something, for one thing or the other?
Yeah, one time, yeah. I broke, when I was 7 years old, I broke my arm in the elbow, okay?
Oh,
yeah, I got my uncle had left a bike in a shed when he left for the army during the war, forgot all about it. And I and my friends, I found it. I said, look at the bike. So we went out and I said, so I'm riding it. It's a big bike, you know the way kids pedal, like it was too big for me. So my friends pushed me off. Anyway, I wound up falling and I hit my elbow and I broke my arm.
Oh.
So my mom said, my mom's all upset. We get on the bus. You don't get the car. You don't call emergency. Get on the bus. You go to Coney Island Hospital, okay? And she says something. So they took X-rays. That's all they had in those days was X-rays. The guy says, yes, the doctor says it's broken in the elbow. We'll set it and we'll put it in a cast. And you'll be like that for the next 5 weeks, okay?
Okay.
You know how they put you out? You know how they put you under? How they put you to sleep in those days?
In those, tell us.
No. They have a big jar, okay?
Yeah.
And the jar is filled with ether.
Okay.
And they shake it like this. And so you have it on the cap. And they take the cap and they put it over your face. You take a couple of sniffs of that and you're out, okay? Nothing like today where you get a needle in you. No, and when you wake up, your throat is sore and so forth. They give you Jello and ice cream and so forth. But you're in a ward with 50 kids. All with broken arms and legs, okay? So we did. By the second day, it's boring, man. It gets really boring. You just can't do it. Just sit. Kids are not used to sit and sleep and doing nothing. Not in those days. So I said, you know what? They had a nurse's aide. He would go out for a smoke about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He'd be gone for 15, 20 minutes. So we waited for him to leave, okay?
Yeah.
When he left, then we locked the door. And we said, it was a time of Robin Hood. We said, let's play Robin Hood, you know?
Yeah.
So all the kids would have broken arm. Those would be, those guys you would duel with, okay? The guys with the broken legs, they had the wheelchairs in the corner. We take the wheelchairs out. We got the kids with the broken legs. We put them in a wheelchair. We had that leg that was broken, stiff, and those guys would be battering rams. And they'd be going, and they'd be running into us, bang, bang. Well, until somebody said, a couple of guys said they're hurt, and it stopped. What the culmination of that was that one kid with a broken arm now had 2 broken arms. And one kid with a broken leg had a broken arm. And they were really, really pissed. We didn't open up the door. It took them a while to find a guy and unlock the door, and everybody's making believe they're asleep. But the 2 kids that are hurt, they're on the floor, you know. How did it happen? We don't know. It was.
Really.
And when they took the cast off my arm,
yeah,
you can't move it. 5 weeks, you don't move your arm. you know?
Yeah.
So they said, I said, how I straighten my arm out? They said, here you go. This is physiotherapy in 1949. They gave you a leather bag. They told you to fill it up with sand. I said, okay. They said, and try and move your arm up and down when it's filled with sand as much as you can. Each day it'll get a little better. After a month, your arm should be straight. And after a month, it was pretty straight, except, I don't know if you can see it, except see, can you see that?
We can
Uh-huh.
almost.
Huh?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
almost see.
it's not quite straight,
Okay.
but that's as good as it got, okay?
And
That was your physiotherapy.
I get it. I get it. And I can picture whatever was going on in that room. Hey, and how about now you told us stories about high school. Any interesting stories during your career as you were whatever, I mean, in your career as you are working, the experiences that you would have made you laugh or the others laugh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you one that stays with me. In fact, I had an old friend of mine, he still talks about it, okay? It was during the Carter, when Reagan was running for president against Jimmy Carter, okay? And we had a suite because we had a big company at the time, and we had a suite, and so we had the TV on, we were watching the debates, okay? And we heard Jimmy Carter, somebody asked Jimmy Carter, what's the most important thing to you? He said, and Jimmy Carter says, he has a 7-year-old daughter called Amy at the time. He says, well, she says, the one thing that's really concerns me, it's what my daughter Amy is really afraid of. And he said, what's that? And this is what Jimmy Carter said: nuclear proliferation. And everybody in that room went, what? No 7-year-old kid can say nuclear proliferation.
Yeah.
We said, oh, he lost. It's over. And sure enough, the only state he got was his own. He lost by 49 states voted for Reagan. So we go out celebrating. We say, hey, there's a big club we're in Atlanta. There's a big club over there. Let's go. They said they got music and dancing and so forth. You know, we're all guys and so we're married. So we all went. There's a half a dozen of us there. So I'm with the guys, and I said, there's a woman over there. She's naked down to the waist. They said, yeah. I said, I'm going to ask her to dance. They said, what do you mean you're going to ask her to dance? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to ask her to dance. I said, so I go over. So I say, you want to dance? She says, yeah, okay. So I'm dancing on the floor. I says, what do you do? She says, I'm a working girl. I said, oh, I never heard the expression before. I said, what do you mean working girl? What, you're a secretary, a paralegal, a nurse, what? She said, no, I'm a working girl. I says, yeah, you just told me that. Well, what do you do? She says, where are you from? I says, I'm from Montreal. She says, oh my God. And she gets up and walks off the dance floor. I go back to see my friends. And they said, what happened? I said, I'm dancing with her. She says she's a working girl. I ask if she's a secretary and so forth. They get hysterical. She says, Vito, a working girl means hooker. That was a prostitute. I said, I didn't know. I never heard the word before. So he says, boy, you look good though, dancing. Half-naked woman. How often can you dance publicly with a half-naked woman? Have you ever danced naked with a half-naked woman?
No.
No?
No.
You want to know what it's like? You want to know what it's like?
Yeah, how is it
It's
like?
nice.
With a working girl. Oh.
I'll tell you, you want to talk about crazy things that with your work? We were running experiments, okay? And we had built a reactor, and that reactor would take, oil would go up to 1,000 degrees and Fahrenheit, and under pressures of 5,000 PSI, okay? Pounds per square. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of heat, okay? We built this reactor ourselves, okay? Because I was doing starch conversions and so forth. Changing the molecular, it's the only technical thing I'll say. We're changing the molecular structure of cornstarch into a resin that it would be a very economical way of getting another raw material. So anyway, we're doing tests. So there was a pinhole in the reactor we never could find a fix. And when the temperature was up there, it would drop one drop, okay?
Yeah.
That drop would smell exactly like dog poop. Exactly like dog shit. I mean, and strong.
Mhm.
Well, we're going into the second day with no sleep. You don't smell anything anymore. You know,
Yeah.
everybody smells the same.
You're used
So I
to.
said, I said, hey guys, I said, there's a store over there in the corner. I said, I'm gonna go get us some cold cuts and bread and sodas and coffee. I'm just gonna go there. So I said, he said, okay. And I forgot about the dog smell, right?
Yeah.
I go in there and all of a sudden someone says, I think somebody better check their shoe. They got some dog shit on their shoe, man. You know, and I realized, oh my God, it's me. And somebody else said, holy God, what's that? Where's that dog? Oh my, and everybody starts complaining, you know,
Mhm.
and they start leaving the store. They said they can't stand it.
Yeah.
I got my stuff in front of the cashier, and the guy goes, son, oh my God. He says, it's you. You're the guy that smells like dog shit. You're the guy. I said, well, no, well, I just want to pay for this stuff. Just take it. Just leave. Take it. So I got the stuff for free. It wasn't a lot, but anyway, we got it for free.
Free stuff for dogs.
Yeah. Well, you know, people don't realize when you're doing chemical reactions, you can get some very crazy smells.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
really. Oh, I'm telling you.
I remember some of the smells that I experienced in the chem lab when we are doing chem, and
Oh yeah,
they could be
they're
awful.
strong.
They can be awful.
Make you cry.
Yeah. So stories and stories and stories. And for you who is watching, you can all find these stories in It All Began in Brooklyn, written by Vito Altavilla.
Yeah, for sure.
So go get it. And please tell us where we can get that book.
Yeah, best bet is just go to my website. It's Vito. It's called itbeganinbrooklyn.com, and you can get it directly from the publisher or Amazon, what have you. But you get it. I think you'll get the book a lot quicker with the website, right on my website.
It began at brooklyn.com.
Yeah.
So for you who is watching, go get that book and read more of the stories. It's just had a bit of it, so there are many more.
It's a lot of it's a fun read. It's a lot of laughs,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, from dating, some of the disasters in dating and so forth.
Yeah.
And I've had a few, but it's a fun read. There's nothing. It's clean. Okay.
Okay.
You know, it's for the most part, it's from a time that we'll never see again. You know.
Yeah.
People were much more innocent. You know,
The innocent ages. Now kids are not so innocent as you get to hear from the stories.
They've got too much. There's too much information coming to them.
Yeah.
You know, children should have a time of that they're children.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm.
not that they have all of the stuff with you know what's happening in Afghanistan. You know, if something happened in your town, it was just in your town. Today, if something happens in your town, it's all over the country.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
And that's sad. That's really sad.
And on that,
people,
and on that note, we'd like to hear a parting shot from you. What would you like us to remember you with, even as we go and get the book?
Okay, just remember, it's written by an older guy who never acknowledges age. Okay, don't look back. You can't change the past. Just enjoy today and look forward to tomorrow.
Beautiful, beautiful. Don't acknowledge age, and age won't acknowledge you.
Yeah.
And don't forget to laugh as you are
all the
moving
time.
on with life all the time.
All the time.
To see the positive side of life and the funny part of life, and you're gonna face better days ahead.
Yeah, and you would be surprised if you have that kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
The things that will strike you funny is amazing. You start
Almost
looking at
everything.
people. Go to Walmart. You'll have a lot of laughs at Walmart.
Uh-huh.
Oh, just look at the people.
Yeah.
Do you know that when you wanted to see a fat person, when I was a kid, you had to go to the circus and see the fat lady? Now you go to Walmart.
Now you can go to Walmart.
Yeah. We never saw fat people when I was a kid. You had to go to the circus to see a fat person.
And now you go to Walmart and they're all over.
They're all over, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So once again, thank you very much, Vito, for such a beautiful show. And we are interested to go and read more from your book. It began
My
at
pleasure.
so,
Enjoy.
yeah, go
And thank-
and get the book from the
Yes,
website.
and
It
thank
began
you.
at brooklyn.com and enjoy everything.
Thank you. Take care, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye-bye.